I am the ancient. I am the land. My beginnings are lost in the darkness of my path. I was the warrior. I was good and just. I thundered across the lands like a wrath of a just god. But the war years and the killing years wore down my soul as the winds wear stone into dust. All goodness slipped from my life. I found my youth and strength gone, and all I had left was death. My army settled in the valley of Barovia, and took power over the people in the name of a just God, but with none of the God's grace or justice. I called for my family, long unseated from their ancient thrones, and brought them here to settle in Castle Ravenloft. They came with a younger brother of mine, Sergi. He was handsome and youthful. I hated him for both. From the families of the valley, one spirit shone above all others, a rare beauty who was called perfection, joy, and treasure. Her name was Tatiana, and I longed for her to be mine. I loved her with all my heart, and I loved her for her youth. I loved her for her joy, but she spurred me. Old One was my name to her, elder and brother also. Her heart went to Sergi. They were betrothed. The date was set. With words she called me brother, but when I looked into her eyes they reflected another name. Death. It was the death of the age that she saw in me. She loved her youth and enjoyed it, but I had squandered mine. The death she saw in me turned her from me, and so I came to hate death, my death. My hate is very strong. I would not be called death so soon. I made a pact with Vol, a pact of blood. On the day of the wedding, I killed Sergi, my brother. My pact was sealed with his blood, his divinity. I found Tatiana weeping in the garden east of the chapel. She fled from me. She would not let me explain, and a great anger swelled within me. She had not understood the pact I made for her. I pursued her. Finally, in despair, she flung herself off the walls of Ravenloft, and I watched everything I ever wanted fall from my grasp forever. It was 1,000 feet from the mist. No trace of her was ever found. Not even I know her final fate. Arrows from the castle guards pierced me to the soul, but I did not die, nor did I live. I became undead forever. I have studied much since then. Vampire is my new name. I still lust for life and youth, and I curse the living that took it from me. Even the sun is against me. It is the sun and light I fear the most, but little else can harm me now. Even a stake through my heart does not kill me, though it holds me for a moment. But the sword, that cursed sword that Sergi brought, I must dispose of that awful tool. I fear and hate it as much as the sun. I have learned much too about the land of Barovia. Ancient are its ways, ancient beyond the knowledge of the simple folk of the valley. An ancient saint dwelled in this valley long before my coming, and 3 hidden fawns still give tribute to the memories. I visited the swamp fawn, the forest fawn, and the mountain fawn, and I claim their powers for my own. Their servants now serve me, and thus I have become the land. I often hunt Tatiana. I have even felt her grass, but she escapes me. She taunts me. What will it take to bend her love to me? I now reside far below Ravenloft. I live among the dead and sleep beneath the very stones of this hollow castle of despair. I shall seal shut the walls of the stairs, and none may disturb me. Vol has called in her last favor of our bargain. I am to bring King Caius to Castle Ravenloft, as she also has dealting with him. The transformation to vampire was not a smooth one for my king. Vol triggered his bloodlust, and he slew his wife in half. One wonders how he can rule in this state, but Vol bounds us to the day heart. The war has proven an interesting distraction. It has been a long time since my death and rebirth that I felt anything but anguish for my lost Tatiana. But my pride in these troops and our victory on the field has elevated my heart to a fight fiercely for the honor of Carnath. Interesting, King Caius, now known as King Caius I, has resurfaced, and a new king now dubbed King Caius III. Betrayal. Caius must lie in a rotten filth in his coffin. How could that bastard surrender? Does he not realize what happened to Ciri could happen to us too?